I invite you to turn to James chapter 3, and we're going to continue our series as you turn there. And as you're turning there, I need to let you know this past week, maybe 2 weeks really, I've been doing some renovations in our bathroom, in our house. In one of our bathrooms, we had a shower that needed to be redone. And so I won't bore you with the specifics, but I'm just doing some tile work in the shower right now. And I know I don't look like it. I don't look like I can do some renovation, and I can't really. But I'm trying. It's going slow. I'm not the best, but I have to say the tiles haven't fallen off the wall yet. Pretty good. I'm pretty proud of myself. And yesterday I was putting in the last few tiles, and I had to kind of cut one of the tiles that goes around where the shower, the handle goes, and I had to cut around that. But the problem is that I only had a wet saw. How many of you know what a wet saw is? Okay, it's sort of like right? So it's got a big blade, like 7-inch blade. And when you cut tiles like this, you usually want to have a grinder, a hand grinder for smaller cuts. I didn't have a hand grinder for smaller cuts. And so I just sort of figured out how to try and do it on the wet saw. And I'm trying to cut this piece, and I have to let you know, I did it. And it was perfect. And I'm very proud of myself. I smiled when I was done. I was like, I talked to myself, look at that. It worked. And not only that, I was like, I should take a picture. I should take a picture of how well this turned out. And so I walked up. So then I was cutting outside in the driveway. I come down into the basement, into the bathroom, and I put it up, and it fit perfect. Like, everything lined up. And I was like, man, I could do this for a job. Like, I was very proud of myself. And so I put the thin set on the back, like the mortar, and I stuck it on the wall, and everything was just perfect, except for the fact that it was just in too much. I hadn't put enough thin set on the back, so I had to put more on the back. I was like, all right, I know how to do this. So I just put it on, so I just start to pull it away from the wall. And as I'm pulling it away from the wall, I'm thinking in my head, be careful. If I pull too hard, it's going to snap, and I cracked the tile. As I'm thinking it, I did it. Literally as I'm thinking, and I'm pretty sure I said out loud, dang it. Oh, I was so frustrated. And then you got to scrape all the stuff off the back. It's a mess, and I had to go cut a new one. It was very, very frustrating. I was really, really annoyed about it. And what I needed to do was what I knew to do. I knew I should have been gentle with it. I knew it was, because once you cut a tile, it gets the integrity's compromised. And I knew it, and it did it anyway. And it was very frustrating. I knew the wise thing would have been to do it very slowly. And I thought I was doing it slowly, but apparently not slowly enough. We're in the middle of a series examining the difference between doing the wise thing and doing the foolish thing. Right? The wisdom from above. What does wisdom look like? So much of life is determined by whether we are wise or foolish. And here's the thing. Sometimes we know what the wise thing is. Just like I knew the wise thing would have been pull gently, slowly, so the tile that you spent all that time working on doesn't crack. But I did it anyway. Sometimes we know what the wise thing is, and we just don't do it. Do you ever know what the wise thing is, and you just don't want to do it? You keep pulling. If we choose, we get to choose. Am I going to live wise or foolish? And sometimes I know, and but I just want to pull a little bit more. I just want to pull a little faster because I'm kind of in a hurry. And it cracks. First, we heard, the first week, Pastor Vic shared that wisdom from above is pure. It's always good. We can trust it. And last week, we talked about it being peace-loving, that when you're in the valley of decision and you're not sure what to do, that you can trust the wisdom of God, that it will be peace. It will produce peace in your life, in the life of those around you, in the world around you, between you and God. It's peace-loving. Okay, and you can go listen to that if you'd like to. But today, we're going to explore the next quality of God's wisdom. James chapter 3, we're going to read it. You're going to see it here. It starts like this. It says, but the wisdom from above is first of all pure. It is also peace-loving. It is what? It is gentle at all times and willing to yield to others. It is full of mercy. It continues in the fruit of good deeds. It shows no favoritism. It's always sincere. And those who are peacemakers will plant seeds of peace and reap a harvest of righteousness. So here it is, gentle at all times. Gentle at all times. How many of you? You were gentle at all times. How many of you, when you heard this, when you saw the words come up in the verse, you immediately just decided, nope, this one's not for me. Nope, I shouldn't have come today. Nope, not gentle, never was, never will be. I don't even want to be gentle. I don't even think that's a good word. I don't like it. I don't like being gentle. There's nothing about it. I don't think it works. I think if it's weak, it's powerless, it's foolish, it's dumb, it's stupid. I do not want to be here. I'm sorry I came today. Okay. If you're listening online, maybe you just X out and you're like, not listening. Okay, here we go. I don't want to even hear the rest of this message. But here's the thing. James is telling us very clearly that the wisdom from heaven, literally the divine advice from God that he chooses to give to us about how to live life to the fullest and wisely, that it is gentle at all times. How many of you are already like, dang, I do not want to hear this. This is going to step on some toes. Because that means that the wise people are gentle at all times, which means that foolish people are not. That foolish people keep pulling, even when they know I should be gentle. I know that's the right thing to do, I just don't want to do it. I know that this will work better if I'm gentle, but I just want to be rough here. I just want to push this. This made me pause, not because I'm sure I'm not. I don't think I'm gentle all the times. I mean, I can be gentle at times. How many of you can be gentle at times? All the time? At times. All the time? No, right? At least not in the way I understand what it means to be gentle. See, when I hear gentle, I don't know what you hear, but when I hear gentle, I think like quiet. Like it's a tone. I'm going to talk gently like this, right? It's a combination of like Mother Teresa and Mary Poppins. Always controlled, always gentle. I don't get upset. I don't get, I'm always, it's a tone. Here's the thing, right? I love Jesus, but I'm from New Jersey, and I'm Italian, and I'm getting a little older, and sometimes when I'm hungry, I get a little short-tempered. Does this mean that I have to talk like Mother Teresa? Is that what gentle means, that I have to do that, right? And when I hear gentle, I think like mousy, like a pushover, right? Like never say or do anything that offends, just be a cupcake, right? You just, okay, whatever you want. I just gentle. I just think of, I just let everybody else decide. I just go with the flow. I'm just going to be gentle. I'm never, whatever. Like that's what I think. Like those are kind of some of those images in our head when we think of gentle. I don't know what you think of when you think of gentle. You think of somebody, who do you know that's gentle? Right? Think of the most gentle person in your life. It's probably going to be somebody's grandma, right? That's just sort of the reference that we go to, right? Again, is that me? I don't know. I don't think so. I love Jesus, but I'm from New Jersey. I'm Italian, I'm older, and I'm hungry. All right, so the more I explored this, the more I realized that I don't think I understand what it means to be gentle in a godly sense. I don't know if I've ever fully recognize this. And there's a chance that maybe if you're here listening or you're watching, that maybe you haven't either really done a deep dive on what does it mean to be gentle like God intends it. And the danger is that if we don't figure this out, it can cause us to miss critical understanding of what it means to be wise. And that will actually perpetuate foolishness just because we don't understand what it means to be gentle, and so we discard it. If we really want to live wise, to get this right, we need to be people who understand what it means that the wisdom from above is gentle. It's so important. So today I'm going to unpack that just a little bit, what it means to be gentle at all times. So the Bible constantly elevates the value of gentleness. I don't know if you know this, but throughout Scripture you can read it's constantly talking and reinforcing and amplifying and celebrating and lifting up this idea of being gentle. Right? It's a story you may have heard, the prophet Elijah, right? Just defeated the prophets of Baal on a mountaintop. It's this huge showdown, this great battle, right? He calls down fire from heaven. It's this awesome thing. He runs. He's out on top of a mountain. He's kind of afraid for his life. He's needing to hear from God. There's a series of dramatic events that happen. Then there's this windstorm, it says, that tore rocks off the mountain. And then there's this an earthquake, and then a roaring fire. And it says we're told that God was in none of it. only to be found in the gentle whisper that followed. The God who had just displayed such power chose to speak in a gentle whisper. And then Isaiah prophesied about Jesus. It says, the future Messiah of the world is coming, and described him like this. Isaiah 42 says, look at my servant whom I will strengthen. Listen to these words. He is my chosen one who pleases me. I have put my spirit upon him. He will bring justice to the nations. He will not shout or raise his voice in public. He will not crush the weakest reed or put out even a flickering candle. He will bring justice to all who have been wronged. I want to point out that the one who would bring justice, the one who has all power, the one who has the authority to make right all wrongs, is going to come gently. In his most famous sermon ever, the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus presented what we know as the Beatitudes, right? This incredible list of characteristics and values about the world, a series of statements that completely turns the world upside down, all these shocking things. He said things like the blessed or extra special are the poor and those who mourn and those who are persecuted. It was this crazy message. And one of those statements that he shared, he says this, he said, blessed are the meek, for they are going to inherit the earth. Same word there that is used in James for gentle. Blessed are the gentle. Jesus says, hey, everybody, my most important message I'm ever going to preach, I want you to understand this. Blessed are the gentle, because they're going to get it all. They're going to inherit the earth. Jesus had elevated the quality of being gentle and identified it as the quality that was key to gaining the world. Again, gentleness is the key to power. Paul would include gentleness as a fruit of the Spirit. The fruit of the Spirit, what the Spirit produces in us, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. It's in one of the fruits of the Spirit. It's what the Spirit does inside of us. A heavenly superpower, the ability to be gentle. King Solomon wrote, patience can persuade a prince, and soft speech can break bones. If you're following the theme in a manner consistent with wisdom that would confound the world, gentleness is all about power. Gentleness is all about power. Every single one of those things. The gentle, they're going to inherit the earth. The one who comes to bring justice, he's coming gently. Soft speech will break bones. The God who did the earthquake and fire and just changed the setting for how people understood how God can work, he came in a gentle whisper. Gentleness is actually a quality of those who have power. We're so prone to think of gentleness as being the absence of power, that if I'm going to come gently, I'm going to lay down power and I'm just going to come gently. But that's not a biblical understanding. It's not a godly understanding of gentleness. The reality is that the most powerful people are actually those who are the gentlest. The reality is that only the strongest people, those empowered by the Spirit of God, can truly be gentle. Gentleness isn't just about a tone. It's not just about those things. It's actually about power. It's the key to true power. But it's not just about having power. Who is the most powerful of all? Clearly God. And what does he choose? He chooses to be gentle at all times. See, it's interesting here. God, who has the power to force us to do whatever he wants, he chooses not to. Gentleness is not a lack of power. It's an intentional choice to restrain power, to instead use that power to give power to those who would be powerless. Gentleness is the choice to give power to those who don't have power so that they have agency. If God wanted to, could he force you to do whatever he wanted? You've seen Bruce Almighty? You saw what happened when he got given the power of God. He made somebody he didn't like do sorts of ridiculous things. It's one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in any movie ever. Makes me laugh just thinking about it right now. It's so funny. If I were God, that's what I would do. If I were God and I had power, I would absolutely make people do absolutely ridiculous things because I could. Gentleness is the God who has all power saying, I refuse to do that. I'm not going to force you to do anything. He takes power and he puts it in our hands. That's what the God of all power does, because he's gentle, not weak. He's actually the opposite. He's the most powerful. When we're faced with a decision, the wisdom of God comes down to us, not in a forceful way that demands we respond his way, but in a way that says, hey, I'm going to put power in your hands. Here's the wisdom from above. It comes gently, which means when God gives you wisdom, he will not make you do anything. He's simply going to say, I put power and agency in your hands. That's what it means to come gently. Doesn't mean weak, just means refuses to force. We get to choose how we will respond. And as God gives us power, you know what he's giving us? He's giving us dignity. He's giving us worth and honor. Saying, you have the power to choose. I'm going to honor you by refusing. I could force you, but I'm going to respect you and treat you with kindness. See, there's love. It's not just power. It's power plus love equals gentleness. Power plus love equals gentleness. God is like the parent who tells his children what to do. And then they do the complete opposite. And it blows up, and they come back with their tail between their legs. And if I were God, I'd be so quick to be like, I told you so. Now, next time, do what I said. Instead, God keeps being gentle with us. We never have to. He just keeps inviting us. He doesn't say, you have to do this. He keeps says, if you'd like to, I highly suggest this. I'm going to tell you this is the better way to go, but you do not have to. He comes gently. He has the power to, but gentleness chooses not to. He keeps inviting us to do what is wise. He told you to be patient. God said, I told you be patient, and guess what you did? You blew through that stop sign. You seized the first opportunity that came along, and it was a disaster. And God doesn't say, I told you be patient. He's gentle with you, and he cares for you, and he says, hey, maybe you should be patient this time again. It's up to you. I'm just telling you, be patient. You don't have to. But I recommend the wisdom from above is telling you, this is what would be good, but I will not force you. Or maybe God told you to take a step of faith, but you were afraid. And now you know you missed an opportunity. God said, hey, do this. I will provide. It's going to work out. Trust me in this. Go for this. And you go, I don't know if I can trust you. And you hesitated. And rather than blasting you because you missed a golden opportunity, God is gentle and says, hey, there will be more opportunities. Listen for me. I can guide you next time. But I'm telling you, you got to trust me. But you have to take my word for it. See, even when it comes to our salvation, God refuses to force or to coerce. He simply invites us, follow me. He doesn't say you have to, because what do we know about salvation? Jesus offers it to everybody, and guess what? Some do, and some don't. He will not force it. That's what gentleness looks like. The God of all power chooses to give us the power to choose. And here's the thing. Our desire to get what we want is constantly in tension with the wisdom from above that prompts us to be gentle. It's much easier to use our power to get what we want now. Yes? Like, it's so much easier to be like, I don't want to be gentle. When someone disagrees, it's a lot easier just to be louder. Perhaps you grew up in a family where the loudest one wins. It's hard to break those habits where it was just, you just turn up the volume. Because I'm just going to force this. I'm going to assert my power and speak louder. Maybe you grew up in a family that was more restrained. Voices were never raised on the surface. But there was a whole lot of passive aggression going on. Right? Wasn't loud, but it was manipulative. Right? You knew the game. It sounded gentle, but the intent was like knives. You can do what you want. And you know that there was going to be consequences on the other side. You knew that it looked civil, but underneath, it was just manipulation. It was games. They call it diplomacy. Someone once said, diplomacy is the art of having someone else get your own way. Say that again. Diplomacy is the art of having someone else get your own way. It's manipulation. It's just saying what you want. And guess what? It's not gentle. You can talk with a gentle tone and not have a gentle spirit. You can say things softly, but there's malice in your words. There's selfish motivation there. There's all sorts of ways to use our power to get what we want, and none of them are mature or wise. Our actions can be forceful. Abuse plagues our country and our world, our society. People believe that they can threaten or demand their way through intimidation. You don't like it? Well, I'll come at you. I'll threaten. Might be physical. Might be other sorts of ways. We change laws. We rewrite the rules. Change the contract. Design systems that force people to do what we want. We assert the power we have. Listen, right? You don't like what I do? Okay, I will make your life miserable. May not be a threat, but you just do it through your actions. There's all sorts of ways that we change the rules just to get what we want. It's like kids playing kickball. You ever do this, playing kickball? And all of a sudden, throughout the course of the game, rules just start popping up that weren't there when you started. Just because it serves my purposes right now. Hey, you're no pegging. What do you mean no pegging? Or no headshots, right? No headshots. Yeah, I know, no. Or you can't get out kids younger than you. Or you can't get out kids that are related to you. Like, come on, stop it. This is ridiculous. Just making up rules, because the unfortunate reality is that even among people who claim to be followers of Jesus, theology and religious rules can be mechanisms to try and control people, to get our own way. Hey, listen, we're gonna try and create these laws to control people to get our own way. Foolish. It's not wisdom of God. You cannot legislate morality. You're not sure about that? Ask a parent. I can make rules till the day is, all day long. But that doesn't touch inside. That's why so many people who grew up in faith, who had just these, rules upon rules upon rules, when they get their moment, they run away. Because they have been coerced and forced into something that never got into their heart. Listen, maybe well-meaning, well-intentioned. I know this is right. I know this is good. I want this for you. But guess what? It's not gentle and it's unwise. It's foolish. Doesn't mean we don't set boundaries and guidelines for our kids and things like that. But it means there's a lot of wisdom in being gentle, and God has challenged us to figure out what that looks like in our own lives. Jesus came as the gentle one, and he invites us to be like him. Any response that seeks to coerce people or to force them to do what we want them to do, even if we think our motivations are good, that's nothing like God. He doesn't do that. We shouldn't either. He is gentle at all times. All times. All right. So what? So what? Not only is God always gentle with us, but his wisdom prompts us to be gentle with others. Alexander MacLaren was a Scottish minister in the 1800s. And he says this, I love this. He says, if you would win the world, or would want to, if you want to win the world, he said, melt it, do not hammer it. If you would win the world, melt it, do not hammer it. How do we do that? How do we put this in practice? How do we become gentle people? Gentlemen and gentle ladies. How do we do this? For starters, let's start doing what we know is wise. Which means stop doing what we know is foolish. Stop trying to pull the tile off the wall when you know it's not the best way to do this. Choose a gentle touch and tone. So let me ask you, how would you rate your gentleness this past week? Not simply talking about the tone of your words, but the intent of your actions. You trying to make things happen? Are there parts of your life where you're trying to force things? Maybe it's your words. Maybe it's by the absence of your words. Maybe by what you're not saying. You're giving somebody the silent treatment. All just mechanisms to manipulate and to control, to get what we want. Maybe this week your action step is to stop trying to force something. Again, it's between you and God. I'm sorry if you came today. You have to hear this and you're like, man, get out of my face with this stuff. I'm going to try and say it gently. Maybe you need to stop trying to force something. Maybe it's not something, but someone. Who are you trying to force or coerce into something? So someone that you're trying to push a certain way, change a certain behavior, get them to do something else. Maybe your spouse, your kids, a friend, an employee, coworker. How can you be gentle with them this week? What does it look like in your life? It's between you and God. You got to work that out. But what does gentleness look like? How can you offer to them, hey, I have this understanding. I have this wisdom. It will bring peace into your life. It's pure. I know it's good, but I just want to present it as an opportunity for you. You don't have to do it. No strings attached. The Apostle Paul, not one known for being gentle, he wrote this in Ephesians chapter 4. He said, I beg you, live a life worthy of your calling. For you've been called by God. Always be humble and gentle. Be patient with each other, making allowance for each other's faults because of your love. Proverbs, King Solomon, one of the wisest men who ever lived, a gentle answer deflects anger, but harsh words make tempers flare. See, sometimes we just want to fight back, and you know what happens when we respond with really a form of violence? It only encourages and invites more violence. Harsh words make tempers flare, but a gentle answer deflects anger. Maybe, just maybe, the way to truly love others and help them make the changes you'd like them to see in their life is to let them make it. Maybe the best way to get along with somebody is to let them change. Open the door, but let them have the power to walk through it. Show them love. Show them dignity and honor. Say, hey, listen, this is you. I cannot force you to do these things. I'm not going to try and manipulate through what I say or how I behave. I'm truly just going to be gentle with you. Because this is what God says is the wise thing to do. And if we really want to go deep and get honest, are you trying to force God to do things in your life? Because we can negotiate, okay, God, if I do this, if I give this, if I stop doing this, if I sacrifice that, can you fix this over here? Can you make this work out? Let's negotiate. God, if I pray enough, if I'm super holy, if I do these things, if I do all of this stuff, will you do what I ask? Even our prayers can really not just be motivated from a heart of love for people, but just, this is what I want. God, just do what I want. Not only won't it work, it's foolish and draws us away from the way of wisdom. The irony is that we reject being gentle because we think other paths lead to what we want, and God is gently reminding us true power is found in being gentle. You want things to work out? Be gentle with them. Don't force them. Open hands. We've talked about this over and again. Open hands. You know, I got to throw trees in there somehow. Proverbs 15:4. This is such a good verse. Come on. Gentle words, it says, are a tree of life. Through the years, this has been one of the things I hope would be a character and a quality of the people of our church. That your neighbors, your friends, our community would say about us that we are gentle people. That we as a community of faith are not trying to force anything, that the words we use, everything, gentle. That's who we are. And the gentleness is power-filled, and it's life-giving. It's life-giving. Psalm 73, I'm going to close with this, because this is us. It's sort of like a confession and truth. This is the psalmist, David, right? He's saying this: I was so foolish and ignorant. I just kept trying to get my own way. Anybody can identify. You don't have to raise your hand, but I was foolish and ignorant. I must have seemed like a senseless animal to you, God. Yet, I still belong to you. You hold my right hand because he's gentle. You continue to guide me with your counsel, leading me to a glorious destiny. Man, whom have I in heaven but you? I desire you more than anything on earth. He says this: my health may fail and my spirit grow weak, but God remains the strength of my heart. He is mine forever. We are foolish and God is gentle. He keeps giving us wisdom. Keeps telling us, hey, there's a better way. You can keep pulling that tile. You can keep doing it. It'll keep cracking every time. Every time. There's a better way. Be gentle. That's where true power is. There's wisdom in it. Would you close your eyes? I'm going to take a moment and pray for you. Heavenly Father, Lord, we are people who are complicated. We've got so much going on inside of us. Sometimes we've got good motives. Sometimes they're selfish. And we're doing our best every day to come to you. And you have grace for us. You are patient with us. You see us like the parent going, what are you doing? You're a knucklehead. But God, you don't give up on us, and you continue to be gentle with us. You don't say, that's it, I've had enough, just do what I tell you to do. God, you continue to just keep the door open. And you don't withhold wisdom from us when we don't listen the first time. You keep giving it. It's grace. It's a gift. If you're here today, it's where you are, between you and God, nobody looking around. You say, I've been foolish. I've been trying to force some things. I've been trying to force some people. I've been trying to make things happen in my own strength. I've not chosen the way of gentleness, and I need to confess it. Between you and God, just raise your hand. Say, that's me. Yeah, nobody's looking. Just between you and God, that's me. God, you see our hands. You know that we are people who are prone to selfishness, to seeking our own way. And it's wrong. We repent. We confess it. Help us be different. We thank you for your grace that forgives us, Lord. You say it's a brand new day for us. And now, Lord, we invite you. Lord, make us gentle people. Teach us to be gentle people. Let your spirit, which produces gentleness in us, Lord, fill us up. Truly let the fruit of gentleness be coming out of us. Let this world see the gentleness that comes from us, Lord. May we understand that that's truly what power looks like. It's what you have given us. It's how you've given us power. It's how you've told us to exercise it. Not to lord it over others, not to force, to coerce, to manipulate, but to give others power to make their own decisions. Lord, there's wisdom in that. Let us be wise people. If you want to be wise and say, God, I just teach me to be gentle, I could grow in this. Again, I just encourage you. Nobody look around. Just raise your hand and say, God, that's me. Help me be gentle. Lord, you know, maybe some of you feel like you got a long way to go to be gentle. But God, plant that seed in my heart and let it grow. Plant the seed of gentleness in my heart. Change me, transform me. It's what God does. He's in the business of transformation. He takes us from what we were, forms us into what we could be. Teach us to be wise people, God. We welcome that. We thank you that the wisdom from above is wise at all is gentle at all times. At all times. Which means you are always gentle with us. And that we can be gentle with others all the time. Help us to realize that. It's in your good name we pray. Amen.